15 of Hollywood's most beautiful stars were once considered absolutely hideous. They dominated movie screens and became the definition of beauty for entire generations. But what you're about to discover will shatter everything you thought you knew. These weren't born beautiful. They were manufactured through a system so brutal, it would horrify today's audiences. Stars literally rebuilt from head to toe, and what they endured will leave you speechless. Rita Hayworth had her entire ethnicity erased for stardom. When Margarita Carmen Cansino walked into Hollywood, executives didn't see the future love goddess. They saw a woman whose Spanish heritage made her unmarketable in the 1930s America. What followed was ethnic cleansing. Hayworth endured 2 years of excruciatingly painful electrolysis to raise her hairline, electric currents removing hair follicles one by one. No anesthesia, just pure agony session after session. Her black hair was dyed auburn red, her skin lightened with harsh makeup, even her name whitewashed from Margarita Carmen Cansino to Rita Hayworth. Every trace of heritage systematically erased. By the mid-1940s, she'd become America's ultimate sex symbol. Her pinup photo was attached to the atomic bomb at Bikini Atoll, but she'd lost herself completely. "Men go to bed with Gilda, but wake up with me," she said, never reconciling the manufactured image with who she'd been forced to abandon. Rock Hudson went from awkward truck driver to masculinity icon, but his story reveals Hollywood's cruelest deception. Roy Scherer Jr. was hauling freight when his universal screen test became a disaster. He needed 38 takes just to say his own name clearly. Yet talent scout Henry Wilson saw potential in his massive frame. "We'll teach him to act later. Just sign him." What followed resembled boot camp. Expensive dental work created his perfect smile. Voice coaches lowered his naturally high-pitched voice. Physical trainers sculpted his physique into Greek god proportions. By the mid-1950s, Hudson had become Hollywood's ultimate leading man. But here's the cruel irony that makes this transformation truly tragic. While being marketed as the epitome of straight masculinity, he was forced to hide his homosexuality behind a sham marriage arranged by the studio. The man, reshaped to represent perfect manhood, lived in constant terror that his true self would be discovered. Marilyn Monroe was actually two completely different people. The platinum bombshell never really existed. She was an invention so complete that the woman who created her eventually lost herself entirely. Before becoming Marilyn, she was Norma Jean Mortensen, a brunette factory worker with modest dreams. When she signed with 20th Century Fox, executives saw nothing special. Just an ordinary girl with crooked teeth, a rounded nose, and normal speaking voice. The transformation was systematic reconstruction. Her hair bleached platinum blonde every 3 days, causing severe hair loss. Though Monroe denied plastic surgery, industry insiders maintain she underwent procedures to reshape her nose and chin. Dental work corrected her teeth, but the most dramatic change was her voice. Monroe's breathy, childlike delivery was completely constructed. Her natural voice was much lower. Voice coaches created the breathless sound that became her trademark. The studio even dictated how she walked. That famous wiggling gait? Monroe reportedly cut sections from one heel to create the exaggerated movement. Friends reported she could turn Marilyn on and off, switching between her natural personality and the manufactured sex symbol. As fame grew, the line between Norma Jean and Marilyn became increasingly blurred, contributing to the identity crisis that plagued her later years. Judy Garland's transformation represents Hollywood's darkest chapter, a child systematically drugged and tortured in the name of beauty. When 13-year-old Frances Ethel Gum signed with MGM, studio head Louis B. Mayer called her "my little hunchback" and routinely referred to her as the ugly duckling to her face. MGM's solution was devastating abuse. They put teenage Garland on amphetamines to control her weight, beginning a studio-sanctioned drug dependency that would destroy her life. During filming of The Wizard of Oz at 16, she was forced into painful corsets. Metal discs were inserted into her nose to change its shape, adjusted painfully between takes. When she began developing as a young woman, executives ordered binding garments to flatten her chest and maintain a childlike appearance. By her late teens, Garland was dependent on studio-provided amphetamines during the day and barbiturates at night. Her metabolism was permanently damaged. The psychological impact of being told she was ugly while presented as wholesome beauty created lifelong mental health struggles. But that wasn't even the strangest transformation we uncovered. Lucille Ball was repeatedly rejected for being too plain. When she arrived in Hollywood, casting directors dismissed her as lacking glamour. Her brown hair, freckled skin, and strong features relegated her to chorus roles. Her breakthrough began with dyeing her hair vibrant red-orange, for Deborah was a lady. This created a signature look that photographed distinctively on film. But what set Ball apart was revolutionary. Instead of hiding features Hollywood deemed too plain, she learned to exaggerate them for comic effect. Her wide eyes and elastic expressions turned supposed flaws into her greatest assets. Ball managed to subvert the brutal studio beauty system. By the time I Love Lucy made her famous, she'd created beauty that existed outside conventional standards. Marlene Dietrich's beauty was literally manufactured through shadows and light. When she arrived from Germany, executives saw little special about her round face and conventional styling. Her transformation came through director Josef von Sternberg, who invented new lighting techniques specifically to sculpt Dietrich's face on film. Overhead, lighting created dramatic cheekbone shadows. A single pinpoint light created a gleaming highlight in her eyes, giving her a hypnotic gaze. Dietrich even had her molars removed to enhance her cheekbones, one of the most extreme physical modifications in early Hollywood. What makes this fascinating is how technical it was. Her beauty existed primarily on film rather than in person. Visitors were shocked at the disparity between the ordinary woman they met and the ethereal creature on screen. Joan Crawford had the worst mouth in the business, according to MGM executives. Her wide mouth, visible gums, and strong jawline were considered serious liabilities. The transformation was extensive. Dental work minimized her gums. Makeup artists extended lipstick beyond her natural lip line to reshape her mouth. Her eyebrows were completely plucked and redrawn. Crawford pioneered facial exercises, repeating vowel sounds to strengthen facial muscles. She submerged her face in ice water each morning, a routine she maintained into her 70s. What set Crawford apart was constant reinvention as beauty standards changed. From the 1920s flapper to the 1940s power silhouette, she redesigned her image for each decade. But things got even more extreme with our next star. Shelley Winters went from fat comic relief to bombshell, then made a revolutionary choice. When she arrived in Hollywood, casting directors immediately typecast her as the funny fat girl. Columbia Pictures head Harry Cohn told her to lose weight and dye her hair blonde or continue playing bit parts. Winters subjected herself to brutal crash dieting, losing over 30 pounds rapidly. Her dark hair was bleached platinum blonde. By the late 1940s, she'd reinvented herself as a bombshell. But what makes her story fascinating is what happened next. Unlike stars who desperately clung to manufactured beauty, Winters eventually rejected the bombshell image. For A Place in the Sun, she deliberately gained weight again, earning her first Academy Award nomination. She would win 2 Oscars for roles requiring her to look ordinary or unattractive. The actress, once told she was too homely, became successful by choosing authenticity over impossible standards. Fred Astaire was deemed too ugly to dance with beautiful women. When he tested for RKO in 1933, the evaluation became Hollywood's most wrong assessment. Can't act, slightly bald, can dance a little. His prominent ears, receding hairline, and protruding teeth didn't conform to Hollywood's male ideal. One studio head commented, "Who would pay to see this skinny, big-eared fellow dance with beautiful women?" The transformation began with meticulous tailoring to broaden his shoulders. But most importantly, the studio created an entirely new type of leading man around Astaire's unique qualities, emphasizing elegance over conventional handsomeness. The Fred Astaire look became so iconic, it transformed men's fashion. He didn't fit established standards, so Hollywood changed the standards themselves. Veronica Lake's entire career was built on a complete accident. When Constance Ockelman arrived in 1941, she was considered pretty, but unremarkable. During filming of I Wanted Wings, a strand of hair fell over her eye while cameras rolled. Rather than stopping, the director continued filming, intrigued by the sensual mystery the partially hidden face created. Paramount immediately made the accidental hairstyle her trademark. The peekaboo launched a national trend so powerful that during World War II, the government asked Lake to change her style because factory women were getting hair caught in machinery. But the image that made her famous ultimately destroyed her. Lake became so identified with the look that when she tried to change, audiences rejected her. By the 1950s, she was working as a bartender, unrecognized by patrons. Bette Davis was told she had about as much sex appeal as Slim Somerville. Her response revolutionized what it meant to be a movie star. After her screen test, executives dismissed her, saying her eyes were too big and she looked like a dead codfish. Her transformation came through emphasizing rather than hiding her unusual features. Beginning with Of Human Bondage, Davis and makeup artists accentuated her large eyes through dramatic makeup. Rather than conforming to beauty standards, they created intensity over prettiness. Davis became known for appearing unglamorous when roles demanded it. For Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, she created one of cinema's most disturbing images. "Until you're known in my profession as a monster, you're not a star," she said. The woman dismissed for her large eyes made those very eyes her trademark. Anna May Wong faced Hollywood's most impossible transformation. Born in Los Angeles to Chinese-American parents, she was told she was too Chinese to play leading ladies, yet not Chinese enough for authentic Asian roles given to white actresses in yellowface. For The Good Earth, Wong was passed over for the lead in favor of white actress Louisa Rayner. Throughout her career, she was pressured to westernize her appearance while being exoticized, forced to speak with an accent despite being American-born. Wong's transformation attempted to erase her identity from both directions, making her too Western to be authentically Chinese and too Chinese to be accepted as American. Humphrey Bogart went from rodent-like features to romantic icon. When he began his career, executives saw little leading man potential in his thin frame, slight lisp, and what they called rodent-like features. His transformation began not with physical changes, but with redefining masculine appeal. As World War II changed audience tastes, his world-weary cynicism began resonating with viewers. By Casablanca, Bogart had become a romantic lead, not by conforming to traditional standards, but by redefining them altogether. His weather-beaten face conveyed toughness and vulnerability that audiences found irresistible. Greta Garbo was called a big horse by Louis B. Mayer. When she arrived from Sweden, executives criticized her heavy features and sturdy build as too ethnic and masculine. Her transformation came through revolutionary cinematography. Cameraman William Daniels pioneered lighting techniques that gave her an almost supernatural glow on screen. Unlike many stars, Garbo maintained control over her image, refusing extreme suggestions like dental work. MGM created an entirely new category of beauty around her unique qualities. By the early 1930s, the woman once dismissed as too heavy had become the divine Garbo. So luminous, her beauty was considered otherworldly. Montgomery Clift redefined male beauty as tortured and sensitive. When he arrived from Broadway, executives weren't sure what to do with his intense sensitivity and asymmetrical face. Unlike other male stars, Clift refused physical alterations. He declined dental work, nose surgery, and weight training. Instead, directors emphasized his emotional intensity over traditional leading man qualities. Films like A Place in the Sun established him as a new kind of male sex symbol, vulnerable and emotionally complex. Along with Brando and Dean, Clift created space for nuanced masculinity that valued authenticity over conventional handsomeness. These 15 transformations reveal the brutal reality behind Hollywood's most iconic faces. The studio system manufactured stars through processes that were physically painful, psychologically damaging, and sometimes life-threatening. From Judy Garland's drug addiction to Rita Hayworth's ethnic erasure, the price was devastatingly high. These were systematic reconstructions that changed faces, bodies, voices, and identities forever. The most tragic aspect is how transformations affected the stars themselves. Monroe's inability to reconcile her two identities contributed to psychological struggles. Garland's diet pills led to lifelong substance abuse. Yet something magical emerged from these transformations. Some stars, like Davis and Ball, took control, turning supposed flaws into assets. Others, like Clift and Garbo, expanded Hollywood's beauty definitions. The most successful transformations enhanced what made each performer special rather than erasing uniqueness. The stars who endure aren't those who perfectly fit the mold, but those whose distinctive qualities survived Hollywood's processes. These Golden Age transformations reveal how dramatically our beauty perception has been shaped by manufactured images. The faces we consider timelessly beautiful were often carefully constructed products of their era. Which transformation shocked you most? Was it Monroe's complete reinvention or Hudson's hidden tragedy? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed these revelations, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos exposing the untold stories behind the stars you thought you knew.